Hi everyone, this is Sandy from NamaStream. Welcome to the webinar replay for April 7th, 2016. In this webinar, we partnered with Kaitlin King from Yoga Soule, who has a lot of expertise in using iMovie specifically for yoga videoing. So if you are someone who wants to increase your brand, who wants to up your level of professionalism in your videos and learn a couple techniques that really make your videos pop, this is the webinar for you. She does do some screen sharing and actually shows you how to use iMovie, and that will start at about 15 minutes into the webinar. Also, we didn't, again, hit record quite when we intended to, so we missed about a minute of the actual webinar. So it starts about a minute in with Jenny talking about what NamaStream is and why she created the company. So if there are any questions after the webinar, please feel free to contact me directly, sandy@namastream.com. Otherwise, enjoy and we'll talk soon. Thanks.
Your students, you charge what you want, how you want, and then just basically sell and package anything you can conceivably imagine. So live classes, recorded classes, memberships. And we started NamaStream. I started NamaStream because I saw a real need in the market for better business opportunities for yogis, and I went ahead and interviewed over 70 yoga studio owners and managers about kind of their business experience, what was working and what wasn't, and this became a really compelling need that I saw in the market. Over and over I kept hearing stories about the risks associated with scaling a brick and mortar yoga studio. So it's risky financially, and it's also a lot of work. You know, we wanted to try to create something that would be basically a business in a box, like a way to extend an existing studio's offerings, or if you were an independent teacher, a way to build your own studio starting online without having to take on the financial risks of, you know, a 5-year lease. So that's what NamaStream is all about, and we've worked now with hundreds of teachers and studios and thousands of students to be able to provide these kinds of on-demand and very personalized services through our software.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun ride, and I think it's the yogis that come to us. They know they want to be online. Their customers and their students are asking for it, but to get there, there's a lot of steps, and so we are trying to break down those steps and make it as easy as possible. And this is part of it, is having Kaitlin on, who has who knows iMovie and video editing really, really well. So that's what we're going to teach today. And I just want to recognize that we, in our little question box, people that have responded, that they're all Canadians. For some reason, Jenny has always joked that the yogis in Canada are extra entrepreneurial. For some reason, I think there's about half of our teachers. Half of our teachers are Canadian, so that I don't know if it's in the water up here or what, but I'm super proud of that because I am Canadian as well. So we have, from Ottawa, from Halifax, from Calgary, and I'm just wondering if Daniel is our Daniel that's on our platform, who's also from Ottawa. And also, if you guys wouldn't mind, in the chat box, do you mind saying if you have videoed yourself, if that's something you're comfortable doing, or if you are brand new to it and just wanting, you know, to learn about it because you're thinking about doing it. If you wouldn't mind putting that in there too, I think that would be helpful as we go through the training. So I just want to just sort of state out front what we're going to be doing today and what we're going to be teaching. So this webinar is for anybody who's a yogi or any kind of health and wellness professional who wants to take their brand and increase their exposure online. We know that video is really, really powerful for SEO purposes. And so people are looking into it, they're using it, whether they're on YouTube, whether they're on Instagram or Facebook. People are turning more and more to video, especially something that you can film so beautiful as yoga. But again, there are some barriers to learning it and learning it well, and that's why we wanted to bring Kaitlin on. So we are going to go through how to use iMovie and really bump up that professional quality of videos that you put out there. Caitlin's going to run through how to improve the quality of your videos. She's going to teach us how to create seamless transitions and flow in the video, and also to add elements such as the Ken Burns crop, which we both know what that is now, or who Ken Burns was, because we had to look it up. We're going to talk about blurring and slow motion and some of those really cool techniques that you see, and maybe think that that's sort of professional level, post-production stuff. But Kaitlin's going to show you in iMovie how you guys can do that. And then it just increases that whole level of your brand online. So that's what we're going to teach today. So if any of you are looking at using any of those platforms that I listed to sort of get your awareness of who you are and what you're doing, this is the right place today. Do you have anything to add to that, Jenny? Nope, we're all good. Okay, so let's introduce our guest. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I had a cold email sent my way, and I just made a sound like, who is this woman? She just said, hey, I'm Kaitlin. This is what I do. I love you guys. I love what you guys are doing. Can we collaborate? And I just instantly emailed back, and she was just like an angel dropped in front of us. So, because we need what she's teaching so desperately. So I was super happy to connect with you, and so thank you for that. So Kaitlin, tell us your story. Where did you come from out of the blue and appeared in front of NamaStream? How'd you get here?
Yes. So I started my yoga company, Yoga Soule, last year about this time. I moved to Italy to be with my boyfriend, who's Italian, and I was in the Riviera and seeing that there were no other yoga retreats in the region. There were tons in Tuscany, there were tons outside of Rome, but I felt like I was in the most beautiful place in the world and wasn't able to share that with other yogis. So I started the company as basically just to host yoga retreats, and didn't really see too much of the future. Just thought, hey, I have friends back home who'd like to come here. Let's just do something together. And from there, I ended up finding a bigger mission and purpose in the business, and saw that a lot of yoga teachers were left kind of high and dry on resources in a couple areas. And I also saw that the online world was the future for yoga instructors. I've been a yoga instructor since college and really struggled to make that a full-time income because, getting $20 to $50 a class just wasn't able to pay the bills. A lot of teachers are finding creative ways to grow their businesses by being online. And so I just kind of joined in with them, and then thought about, instead of being a business, to just serve students, to also look at the area from the teachers. I still live in Santa Margherita Ligure, which is right by Portofino in Italy. I do back and forth between the US and there, and have started doing the editing as a way to bridge a lot of teachers' needs that I was getting feedback from. And it's been a really exciting, different direction for Yoga Soule.
So do you video, you do a lot of videoing of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And you put
so
it...
I initially started doing videos because I wanted people to be able to experience what it was like and where I was living for potential retreat goers,
right,
and students and teachers. And a simple way to do that was I just started filming myself doing yoga in different spots around my town, and just set up a camera with a tripod in the middle of the city center and started, doing some yoga as a way to give people a look. From there, we started doing a couple food videos as well, because my boyfriend is a chef and we collaborate on our retreats. And from there, it just kind of grew and doing a bunch of different types of videos. And I started getting more comfortable and finding different ways to be creative and do new content. And that's how I really started to get comfortable with video.
And so why do you think it's so important that people care about the quality of their video?
Mm-hmm. So quality content gets more engagement. Doesn't matter the platform, doesn't matter if you're talking about photos, if you're talking about a website, people hang around content that they feel is engaging, that looks nice, and that speaks to a specific need of theirs. So with video, to be able to really step up your professional game, it helps to have a well-edited, well-presented video. And it's not just because it looks great, it's because your students are going to get more out of it. That's really the most important thing. When people come to your classes in a studio in real life, there is a feeling, there is something about your classes, the way that you teach, the way you present, the way you adjust, whatever it is, the way you put the lighting, that people are attracted to, and they're coming for an entire experience of yoga. When you have video, that can be really removed. They're taking video from their living room or their kitchen or wherever they may be. And it's an opportunity to be able to elevate the experience, imitating what you create in your classes. So instead of it just being a pretty looking video, you can also think about channeling something beyond the screen, because people would rather be immersed in a class than just in the middle of their kitchen. People like to be, taken away and surprised and still feeling that really extremely special experience that is yoga. It doesn't matter how they're hearing the information. So the high quality video can really transport the student as well.
And that's a great point, because Jenny and I always say that teaching online, like through NomStream, for example, it's not the same as going into class. It's a totally different experience. And I think our teachers are always asking us questions about, how do I create, how do I make this work that looks really professional? And there's, you have to get the right equipment, which really isn't that hard. That's pretty simple.
Right.
But what do you do with that video afterwards? And so that's what we're going to focus on. Jenny, do you have any? You're just going to jump in. I don't need to keep checking in with you, right? Okay. So, and then tell me, why did you choose iMovie? What was it about that platform that you've chosen to specialize in?
Well, plain and simple, it's free for Mac. It's free for a lot of PCs, and you can get it for free on Windows as well. And for me, it's the easiest, most understandable interface. A lot of the things, and we're going to look at this, but a lot of the functionality you're already going to recognize and know. So the learning curve isn't that steep. I was working with Final Cut Pro and other more professional video editors, and found it a bit distracting to have so many tools and so many options when there's only a couple things that you really need to know for a yoga video. You don't need to worry about adding in a crazy background or doing these crazy effects. So it was really more financial and easy. I want something easy and straightforward. I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to mess around with this stuff, because that's not the purpose of the yoga video. It's not so that you can spend half of your time in your business sitting in front of your computer being frustrated editing. You got to get out there.
Right. And then after we spoke, I just went to our community and asked, how many of you are using iMovie? And I think it was like 90% of them were using iMovie for post-production editing. And I had no idea. I actually did not know that they were all doing that. My impression was that they were just not editing and just, uploading it to NomStream, but they actually are, which is great. And I just want to talk again, sort of in that same vein around the experience in studio versus watching videos or yoga videos online, practicing at home. We were talking about the length of video. So most yoga classes in studio are at least an hour. Some of them are full hour and a half, 75 minutes sometimes. And so what do you suggest for people, lengthwise? How long should their videos be if they are going to teach online?
So it's really important to remember who your students are and why they're coming to your videos online. Are they coming because you have a great following and they want to watch you and learn from you? Are they coming because, let's say, they're busy moms and they're grabbing yoga in between nap time or at homework and they're just trying to fit in something that's going to be good for them? Are they a business professional that's traveling and they're out of town, they're not able to consistently go to a studio? Every one of those cases is going to have a different ideal length of a class. When I was a business professional traveling all over the world, I was more likely to go for a 60-minute class online because I had the time, whereas a mom is looking for something maybe between 20 and 30 minutes that they're trying to squeeze in that case. So it kind of depends on who you're looking to really target and who most of your students are. But I think the ideal class length for online is between 20 and 45 minutes. And especially when you're beginning, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing less than 30 minutes or just continuing to get out content at 30. Because people also are very much open to doing their own warm-ups, their own sun salutations, their own shavasana and cool down. So it's more about having that core really strong that anyone can turn on and do at any time.
Right. And honestly,
I'll add to Sandy, just from our data analytics in our platform, from the 1,000+ videos that we have already in NomStream, that is exactly mirroring our analytics. It's between 20 and 40 minutes, 20 and 45 minutes that have the most views on our platform. So just FYI for folks to know that. And I would also say, just the bigger your video file, the more messy it is to deal with on the internet. Like, your connection speed affects how long it takes to upload. And if you have a bigger file and not maybe a super fast internet connection speed, that's going to be a messy thing to deal with versus keeping your videos a little shorter, especially when you're first starting out and getting to learn this kind of equipment. You want it to be straightforward and not too hard. And
very true.
And if I'm a mom, I am a mom, and if I had 90 minutes, I'd go to the studio. I'm not going to sit in my living room for an hour and a half and do something, you know, like I think it's just you're practicing at home for a reason. And I would rather have a short 20, 30 excellent video that I can get through and feel like I've done something versus I know I won't go an hour and a half. So it's a good point. Okay, well, why don't we jump into it? Do you still have presenter power?
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
Actually, could you just transfer that to me and I'll make sure that I can show my screen?
Change presenter. However, I don't know which one you are. We're going to guess that you're that friend.
oh no, that's mine.
Okay, it just says
Other
friend. Oh, that's funny.
We will find the best webinar technology and we will share it with everyone. We're on a hunt.
It's absolutely trial and error.
There we go.
Okay, great.
Randomly picking friends.
All right, so just can you guys confirm that you can see that title screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's get into our iMovie editing content. So I want to start off with some good news. First, you can do this. Definitely can do this. And you can also have fun too while editing. I know it sounds right now for a lot of people like a burden and this obligatory task that you must do, but it actually can be super fun, and I'll show you how. So first, iMovie is an easy drag and drop interface. So you don't have to overthink it. iMovie, like a lot of Apple products, is made to be as intuitive as possible. So when you're looking at the screens, you don't have to think about how to get stuff around. You can just start playing around and dragging and dropping. The second is that most shortcuts and functions are the same as software you already know. So in iMovie, you can cut, copy, paste, select all, undo clips, all with the same keyboard shortcuts as the simplest program, Microsoft Word. So you think, depending if you're on a Mac, for example, you do Command A for select all. It's absolutely the same in iMovie, so you don't have to worry about relearning a lot of these codes. And you'll also will readily recognize a lot of the icons that you'll already have there, like import, share, and crop, from commonly used symbols on your tech devices. So if you edit photos in your phone, on the camera roll or anything, these symbols are universal in a lot of tech platforms, and you're already going to be able to recognize that. When in doubt, hover your mouse. So like Windows products, if you hover your cursor over any icon in iMovie, a description of the function will appear, so you don't have to worry about getting lost. And then lastly, you cannot lose your unsaved work. Hallelujah. There is no file save option in iMovie, so this can be a little confusing at the beginning, but instead your work is constantly saved as a work in progress, and your final outcome is exported as a .mov file. So when you open iMovie, it doesn't matter where you left off, your progress will be saved. For that file to get out into the world, you just export it as a .mov, which we can talk about later, but this is a really good news for people that forget to save, like me. All of these reasons are why iMovie is a really accessible tool, and just to further on the question why I choose iMovie to edit, and I think it's one of the strongest. So let's get this party started. How to create a video in iMovie. It's a super simple process. We're going to look at the first 4 steps today: creating a new movie, importing your media, choosing and organizing your clips, and then editing. So first, creating a new movie. Let's look at the interface. So what you're going to do is come up and go to the little plus button. That's going to give you the option for a movie. Or you can do File, New Movie. Another way, if you're into keyboard shortcuts, is to look at the right. You can see all of the keyboard shortcuts. This is for Mac, will be revealed right there. Once you create a new movie, you're going to go in and select No Theme. Do not be tempted by these other really cute looking videos. What you're going to get as a result of those is going to be much less than professional. It's going to limit your ability to do a lot of customization. So I highly recommend you just go ahead and do No Theme. Then you're going to be able to title your movie and press OK. Boom. There is your new movie ready to be made awesome. The next is importing media. There again are a couple ways to do this. There's a button at the top that's a down arrow for importing video and audio, and it's going to go right there once you select it. So it could be from the camera that you have attached to your computer. It could be from your download file. Wherever you have your content on your computer, you're going to be able to bring that and it's going to show up right there. You can also use file import or, of course, the shortcuts. As long as you selected the project that you want, all of your media is going to go into there. Now for choosing and organizing clips. So it's all been super simple so far, and this is just as easy. So I want to break down first the contents of the screen. So let's first look. Right here is going to be where all of your video is housed. So if you are highlighted on the My Media section at the top, or on some earlier versions in the bottom left corner, this is what you're going to be able to see and control. All of your video is going to be laid out right there for you to see. These little divisions are where your clips are split. So if you look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different clips in this video. Some are from the same shots that I did, mixed around. Some of them are from different. It's all mixed up into there. Now, these clip divisions are going to be really important in future editing, and sometimes can add different transitions. So in order to be able to split a clip, which is super easy, you're going to do right click and split clip. It's really, really simple. Just like that, you're able to divide the clip into two and adjust its length or change that one and edit it to make it special. The next section is audio. So when you click on the audio on the top, you're going to be able to control all of this down here. There are two sections for audio. The top, which is the green bar that you're seeing now that says intro, that's where all of the voice, effects, and music are going to go. And you can layer these one on top of the other. If you're looking to have a background song throughout the entire clip and you don't want to touch it, you don't want it to be changed, then that can be dragged into the very bottom where it says, or where it has the little treble clef notes right there. That's going to be all available for you there. Those are the two components of audio. For titles, this is going to go above your clips. And these are things like where you see Yoga Soule Presents, that's a title. I created that specifically. Obviously, that doesn't come default in iMovie. I created that separately, but it's going to float above your clips. The same thing if you are using text, that's going to be able to float above your clips, and you'll decide where you want the text to overlay. We're going to go more into that later. This is for PNG and JPEG images. And so if you know anything about that, the PNG is basically an image without a background, like Yoga Soule Presents. So you're able to see my logo and then also Portofino behind there. And then there's JPEG images that you might have of your logo if you don't necessarily need to have see-through aspects of it. The next one is the backgrounds. So you see that the title is hovering over a white background. The backgrounds are simply just that. They are pieces of straight up pictures that are different colors, or they do have options for like cheesy curtains and stars, but it's just a placeholder. So I use black and white as backgrounds for my PNG files because I'm not able to put a title if I don't have something for it to go over. So if you're just looking to have your title floating above a background that's simple, you can just use black or white, and that's a great way to approach that. For transitions, we're going to talk more about these, but those are what goes between the clips, and we're going to explore that in a second. So let's go on to editing. Now that we know all of the components that we're able to edit, let's do it. So there are 5 editable components. Everything that we just saw, our video, audio, titles, backgrounds, transitions, all of those can be edited and customized. And you're going to find all of those options right where we just found them. And then there are 8 editable functions for video and audio. So for your video, you can do color balance, color correction, crop, and stabilization. For your audio, you can change volume. You can have the noise reduction and equalizer function. You can change the speed for both video and audio. And then for the video and audio, you can have filter and audio effects. So let's go back, and those are going to be right there. Let's start with the transitions. So we talked about this earlier in the blog post for NamaStream, and I said, hey, take it easy on the transitions. So what happens is we get really excited, we click the transitions and look at all those really fun options. And it seems like, oh my gosh, ripple would be super cool to use, or the page curl, that's super sweet, or look at this mosaic, that looks awesome. But actually you need to remember less is more. Just because you divide a clip in half and are moving from clip to clip doesn't mean that you actually need a transition. If you do use one, make it purposeful and don't interrupt your flow. So a lot of yoga videos will go from one clip or angle to another, and they don't actually use any any transitions, because it's not necessary. So all of these fancy ones do not recommend that you use, because it gives really the sense of, oh, we're moving from one to the other, instead of allowing it just to flow through like in a class. It's a little more of that, like, here's my family trip, and a cheesy video, you know, in and out, wow, look at us, here we are. It doesn't really convey a professional vibe. I really recommend the cross dissolve the most. This is what most yoga videos are going to use when they use transitions, and I want to show you an example of that right here. There was a cross dissolve. There is another cross dissolve. Also, this woman is amazing in her Ashtanga practice. There was a transition that they didn't use. Just change the clip. There's a cross dissolve. That's an example of what that looks like when you use cross dissolve. The next one is the fade to black and fade to white. One, I was showing you that we use black and white backgrounds a lot of times in the yoga videos, beginning and end. These two transitions are great to flow into that, so that you don't just have a clip and then suddenly a white background. I want to show you what I did in one of my promo videos. This intro is what I use in all of my yoga videos beforehand, and I use fade to white, so you can see what that looks like. So you can see, also this is Portofino, where I live. Okay, there's an image, a title that I used, and then fade to white. So that's a super nice way to transition from beginning and end, or from this intro clip, for example, fade to white, and then the core content of your video. Those are great. The number 3 option is the cross blur. It's also really tempting to use, but can also distract from your content. So I would use that sparingly. And then these ones down here, I say only in special circumstances, because the swippity swipe makes it, again, a little bit choppy at times. A lot of comedy uses these kinds of effects. So if you think of like some TV shows that are a bit humorous, they'll be like, oh, swap to this flashback or something like that. Actually, I've created a yoga video that I'm going to produce later this week that is more of a humorous take on practicing yoga at home, and I've used swipe right the whole time. But it's funny. It's not necessarily let's do our practice. So I would say this is really breaking it up a lot, and only in special circumstances is it ideal to use. So let's say we want to use our fade to white. How are we going to make that happen in our video? All you do is click the fade to white and drag and drop it to the slide that you want it to be. You can put transitions at the beginning or end of your slides or in the middle, and you can only do one at a time. So just obviously keep that in mind. And when you go in and click on the transition, you'll be able to adjust the length and more details around how long it takes. The cross blur that we saw in the beginning was a rather slow cross dissolve, the cross dissolve. That was a rather slow effect, and you can customize all of that just by clicking on these 2 triangles facing one another. All you got to do, drag and drop them between the clips. And that's why, again, it's important to divide up your clips where you want your transitions to go. So transitions, all in all, great for moving from one perspective to another if you are doing multiple angles, for example. Hiding edits, this is my favorite, because I can't tell you how many times I've been doing a handstand or half moon or something, and I fall out of it, and I just think, I don't really want, sometimes it's fine to include that. I don't want to edit myself into a perfect practice that doesn't reflect my reality, but sometimes it's just distracting. So a great way, the cross dissolve is awesome, because you can edit out your fall, and then, oh, look, magically you've resumed and held that position for a long time, and it's very seamless for the students. So I really like that. And then moving from intro to the main video, if you like to have an intro, that's a really nice way to break it up. You can use a transition from your warm-up to your core sequence, and then from your core to your cool down, just to switch it up and give the students a real indication that you're moving from one section to another and to be prepared for what lies ahead. So those are transitions. Next, let's look at these 8 editable components. We're going to focus on color balance, color correction, crop, stabilization, volume, noise reduction, speed, and clip filter. The most important of these 8 are these 3, and that's what we're going to look at today. These are really where you're going to get the most value. So first, color correction. If you see a color correction looks like a little art palette, you're going to open that up and see these functions at the top. So it's really simple. Think about it as editing an image. If you want to make the image lighter and brighter, you're going to drag any of these 6 little circles to the right. That's going to brighten up your image. And then if you want to go the opposite way, you're going to go to the left, and it's going to make it darker. Sometimes if you're filming outside, there can be really high exposure, and so this can help a lot. You're able to adjust the shadows and the midpoints all with this, and you can apply it to all of your clip, which is really nice. Over here, that's saturation. So if you go right, it's going to make it really much more colorful. If you go all the way to the right, it's going to be super pixelated and really, really colorful and a little bit too much. And then the left is going to be black and white. And then tonal balance. Same thing, whether you're filming inside, this happens a lot. Depending on your lighting, the video can appear more blue or more yellow and not natural. So you can correct that here with the yellow to blue slider. So obviously if your video is a little more blue, you can add more yellow by sliding that circle to the right. And then if your video is more yellow, you can slide it to the left. Usually indoor, if you're filming indoor with like house lights, it's going to appear more yellow, so you're going to have to balance the blue. And the blue comes when you're filming in like a bright white light. That can happen if for some reason you're filming in like a big supermarket, although I don't know why you would do that. Here's a quick hack alert. We talked about this in the blog too. If this is a little bit overwhelming and time consuming, there is a tool to save you, and it's the magic wand of auto correction wonders. So just like our little fairy godmother, it looks like she has the little wand. All you have to do is click this for all of your clips, and it's going to auto correct to the best standards possible. So the magic wand is great for editing image quality quickly. Instead of going in and editing all of your clips by hand this way, you can just bulk edit, which is really nice. And then it's great to create a base upon which to edit further. So I like to select all of my clips and magic wand them, and then go back and see if some look a little bit funny than others because maybe the sun moved or there was a shadow here, and then at least I don't have to go in and do everything one by one. So the magic wand is a great little hack. The next is crop it like it's hot. So we have crop that looks just like the crops that you've used in Microsoft Word. You're going to click on that and come up with 3 options to crop. You have the fit, which is going to make all of your videos fit into this resolution and this size of the widescreen. So here's a tip. Filming vertically will mess up the fit for your videos in iMovie. It's best to film them horizontally. I've definitely messed up before and forgot and filmed vertically, but when I try to fit them in this function, it will just crop to make it fit. So it will really mess up fitting everything inside the screen. So better to film vertically.
And that, Kaitlin,
excuse me, horizontally.
Sorry.
Yes.
So that's when you get the 2 black bars on the side of your video. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
And for Instagram too, same?
Instagram, yes. So Instagrams, I would also recommend doing horizontal. Although Instagram video, as of right now, is going to crop it to be a square for you. Okay. Unless you have a separate app that puts in your bars, it's not going to make bars. It's just going to fit it into a square.
Okay.
Which is another thing to keep in mind when you're filming if you want to do mostly Instagram. The next is crop to fit. So in this case, if I don't want to see so much of the background of the sea and the town, you can just use your corners, drag, and make your screen bigger or smaller, depending on what you want to focus on. And then here's Ken Burns, which is the best, and we talked about in the blog. Ken Burns is magical because there are so many things that you can do with it. So you can use Ken Burns to zoom in and out of your clip. You can pan side to side and pan up and down. So all you're going to do here is find the start, decide where you want your clip to start, drag the corners to define what it looks like, and then you click the end, and again, drag the borders to define the end. What this looks like in real life, calling it the crop and zoom, is super cool. So this is a video from Kodiak, and I want you to notice all of the movement that's happening. Here's side to side, here's zooming in and out, here's up and down, down to up to down. All of that you can actually achieve through your Ken Burns, through the crop and zoom. So this is really handy for yoga instructors. It's lovely that you can highlight a difficult pose by zooming in or out. You're able to draw more attention to alignment. You can show what it looks like from different angles using this. It's really handy. Also, it's nice to add an interesting viewpoint on a stable pose. So if you're holding your warrior two for quite some time, instead of having it just be straightforward warrior two looking at that, you can zoom in and do the pan to pan, so from fingertip to fingertip. And that, when your student is watching that, literally brings them into looking at their body the same way. So they're going to be focused on their fingertip, and then as it's panning through their core, are they aligned in their spine, and then moving to the back. So it's a different way to get your students thinking about their body by watching what your body is doing and by watching what your camera is doing. It's a really nice way to continue to engage your students. That's really, really wonderful. Professional films and videographers will actually create this crop with their videos or with their cameras, but you don't even have to worry about that because you can do it in iMovie. And then lastly, speed. Feel the need for speed. Okay, so it looks like a speedometer. When you click on that, this is what's going to come up, your options for here. I recommend that you go to the custom, and you're going to get percentages of the speed. So here's your hack alert for slow motion and time lapse. So on those percentages, 70 to 90% is going to be a natural slow motion. 60% and less is going to be a slow-mo. So if you really want to create the effect of a slow motion, play around with 60% and lower. If you're doing 120 to 150% of the normal speed, that's going to be a natural fast, meaning it's going to be hard to detect that you've edited it to be quicker. And then a 200% plus is a time-lapse effect. That's when you can fit all of your videos into a smaller, shorter period of time, and it's going to be obvious that you've sped the video up. So I want to show you what it looks like when you do a slow-mo. Here's an example from Equinox. You can see the guy is moving slowly. The video is much slower than what he's actually moving in real life, but it really also creates a nice relaxing feel. Also notice that was fade to white and end that transition. So slow-mo is great for also highlighting a difficult pose. If you are up in an inversion or doing an arm balance, it's nice to make that slower. Again, for your students to be able to focus more on what's going on, and it can extend the ability to actually hold the pose. The next one, is syncing voice cues and visual cues. So the way that I film my videos, for example, a lot of people do it this way. I record my audio first, and then I film myself to the audio. Inevitably, something is going to be off. Something is going to be out of sync. I'm going to be saying to swan dive forward, and I'll already be in a plank, for example. So it's nice to be able to edit this on the end side, to be able to slow down my swan dive, for example, or just make sure that all of the cues are aligned the way I want them to be. And you can do this naturally with that just a little bit slow motion and a little bit faster on the video side, not the audio side, on the video side. That helps everything come into alignment. If you do those faster and slower on the audio, obviously you're going to either sound like a or like rah rah rah. So I don't recommend it for the audio. This is just about visual. And another thing is you're going to be imitating high quality B-reel shots. So if you think about B-reel, this is what filmographers describe as just background shots. So if you think about a news story about a school, you're going to maybe see images of the school or images of the flag waving or something like that. In yoga videos, this also happens mostly for intros, not necessarily for core, but A lot of times it's slow motion. If you watch some of your favorite yoga videos, maybe there's a picture of the field and the grass is waving slowly, or a picture of the yoga mat, a picture of hands on the mat, something like that. It's a really nice way to start getting your students set up mentally in the space of separation. It actually slows people down by watching a slower video, just like it makes students think about their alignment when you're panning in your alignment. So it's a really handy trick. For the time lapse, this is also very used in Instagram. So this is from Talia on her Instagram. And obviously she is not moving this fast. So it's going faster, and you can see. There we go. So she fit this entire sequence into 15 seconds because she sped herself up. So there are tons of time-lapse apps out there, but I like doing it in iMovie because it imitates those apps, but with complete control. And a lot of the apps, you can only control the speed. You can only control where you start and where you end within one clip. I can't, put several clips in there at once. I can't adjust my picture quality. I can't change like the viewfinder. I can't crop it. So it's almost like you get all of those same functionality, but you get to make it faster, and you still get to edit all the things and customize what you want. Obviously, it's great for fitting a long sequence in a short time slot, which is handy for Instagram. A comment on Instagram, actually, Sandy reminded me of this, that Instagram is extending their video time from 50 seconds to 60 seconds pretty soon. So you'll be able to fit more in, but still 60 seconds, 1 minute, maybe you want to fit in a lot more, and it's really nice to be able to do that by speeding it up. I have a bonus hack for you guys, and that is going to involve a title. It's a very cool effect that you can create by hacking a title, hacking meaning just using it for a different purpose. So if you go into the titles, you're going to see all these options. You're going to go down to the pull focus and drag that over a clip that you want to be blurred. You're going to see there's going to be a title and subtitle that come up. This is going to give that blur effect. You're going to go ahead and delete all of the text. And what's going to happen is that your title is going to remain the same, or the title is going to be there, but without the text, and it's going to give the blurred effect like this. This is one of my friends. You see that's a blur right there that she comes into focus. She's going through and practicing. And then it blurs to the end, and she has mandyreedyoga.com. That also is usually done on the front end by people filming. You can focus and unfocus manually, and that's what usually creates that. But here, we're able to do it in iMovie. So this is great for setting the scene in an intro slot if you're the kind of person that wants to have the same little intro like Mandy's before all of your practices begin. It's wonderful for meditation and Shavasana clips. Again, having that blur, it's the same impact on the viewer that they're going to start just relaxing a little bit more. It's a relaxing way. It's a relaxing edit, and it actually helps you feel that way too. And then it's imitating the high quality camera effect. Like I said, DSLRs and really great cameras are going to allow you to change the focus and create that blur effect. So instead of relying on that, in something much less expensive and less quality like me, you're going to be able to do that same effect without needing that camera. So now that you have all of these amazing tips, you can get to work and share your magic. Thank you so much. We're going to take questions. I know that was a bunch of content, but let me know what is still unclear, and we can go through some questions right now.
Sure.
Okay,
so,
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Can I ask first, Sandy?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, while Jenny's probably, I've been seeing her
Yes.
writing, like, oh dear God, we're gonna be here an hour and a half with Jenny's questions. But for you guys listening, please enter those questions, type them into that question box, and we'll make sure they get addressed as well. Go, Jenny.
So Kaitlin, actually for iMovie, so the iPhone app and the iPad app, I know that we have quite a few teachers that are using those apps right now and not using the desktop version of iMovie. So I'm just wondering if how different that experience is, or if you have recommendations regarding the apps.
That's a great question. I have never used the iMovie app. So the apps, like for the time lapse that I was talking about, there you can go into the iStore or any of your application stores, and find a bunch that will imitate any type of video editing quality, but especially the time lapse. Like when you see on Instagram, like the one that we saw, a lot of people are just filming their video on their phone, dropping it into an app to make it shorter and publishing it. I do not have experience with a non-desktop version, so I'm sorry, I can't speak to that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I know that some of our teachers in particular use the iPad version. So we have teachers, especially when they're just starting out, they'll actually film with their phone or their tablet. And so then they have the file on those devices. And I think it's a little, I've played around with the iPhone app for iMovie, and it's like a lot to do in a tiny little phone. You know,
yeah, shoot, I wouldn't want to be doing it.
But if you have like an iPad Pro with one of the pencils, like I think you can get, you know, it's basically a computer. So
yes.
I just don't know. I was curious just to know the differences in like the level of control you would have versus, but maybe we can investigate that and sort of.
Yeah, I would love to do more research on that. What I usually do, honestly, I film on my phone a lot of times. I have an iPhone 6, I film on there. And then in that import media section, all I do is just airdrop it to my computer and put it into iMovie. I prefer being able to have a mouse. I prefer being able to have a wider screen. So that's just a preference, but it's actually great if you have one of those bigger iPads to be able to do that on there too. That'd be really handy.
Yeah.
Kaitlin, can you turn your camera back on? I just like to talk to you and see your face. It's so much.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then Jenny, before your next one, we do have a question. So Kaitlin, they're asking you about, do you have all your videos, the videos that you edit, are they all on iMovie saved to your hard drive, and how much space do they take up? That's a very important question, actually.
Yes, that's a really great question. So I don't save a lot of my final products onto my desktop because it does take up so much space. I use iCloud and I have an external hard drive. So I usually just drag it there. One thing that's really important to note is that .mov does not upload quickly or easily onto most platforms. Yeah.
Right.
So I have a converter. It's a free converter that I found on the internet that I downloaded. Nothing fancy at all, but it takes my .mov to .mp4 or .mpg, which both upload to YouTube and any of like Squarespace, any of the video hosting.
Namastream.
I was just gonna say Namastream. Yeah, has to be MP4.
MP4 is gonna be what you're gonna want to do. Those take up much less space. So I'll keep my individual video.mov on my desktop, convert it, and then keep the .mp4 handy for me there to use while I'm uploading. Everything else after that goes directly onto my iCloud. It takes up enough space that it will slow down your computer, and why not just get it off of there and have it, stored away if it's already online.
Yeah, Jenny, do you want to answer that from a Namastream side?
Yeah, or Dropbox is fine too.
Dropbox.
I mean, just keep a copy of it somewhere. An external hard drive is fine if you like, if you have one. But the cloud is, I think, a perfectly reasonable place you can buy storage for so little now that, I think we pay, even for our company, like $9.99 a month for our giant Dropbox account. So like, we really don't need to spend a lot of money on it.
And I think with size, just for the Namastream teachers or potential teachers, we do really encourage you to compress those files so that they're not gigantic, so that when you do upload them to Namastream, they're not taking too much space in your account. And I believe that from iMovie, if you have something in iMovie, you can export it from iMovie and change the file extension in one move. And so you can change it to MP4, so you don't need an extra converter. And then you can choose like the size of the file. And so iMovie will kind of compress it a little bit for you, so it's not too big. Jenny, you have more questions.
I just wanted to say though, so like a question for you, Kaitlin, how long to do the beautiful video work that you do editing in iMovie, like for say a 30-minute video, how long would it take you now that you know the tool really well to edit that into something you're proud of?
I would say it takes 1 hour. So I've got a system down packed. At the beginning, it took me days. It took me and years. I had used iMovie quite a bit in my past when I did production video for different companies and nonprofits, but it was a whole different line to start making yoga videos. It was a very different type of editing. So that took me quite a long time. But after you get the hang of it. And now that I know exactly what I want to do and I have my system, I can do it in an hour.
Okay. So I would just say to I know we have quite a few NamaStream customers on today and who will be watching the replay. Just, you know, you don't have to do this for every one of your videos, but something like a welcome video or intro video, it's really worth taking the time and investing in a tool, learning a tool like iMovie, so that you have some element of professionalism when you're going and sort of holding yourself out to the world, you know, as a teacher and introducing yourself on the internet. And so just, you know, start with maybe a really short 2-minute welcome video and play with your editing and learning editing that way. And then you can figure out the tips that Kaitlin has just shown you that you want to incorporate into all of your videos going forward. But maybe not, you know, maybe not every single video needs to be super edited.
Yeah, that's a great point. Once you start getting the hang of it too, you're going to be able to know, okay, here I want to transition, here I don't. And it becomes much more straightforward. The intro video is a great idea. That's actually how we start in the iMovie for Yogis course that we'll talk about. We just say, okay, let's make a video you're going to be proud of, that's going to be branded and reflect your unique spirit that you're bringing to the yoga practice and to your students. And let's just use that as a fun way to begin. From there, you start deciding how you want your yoga videos to look, and you start standardizing the way that you produce them. And that's when you just start getting into your routine, and you know, I'm only going to use this function, I'm going to use these transitions, and I'm pretty much not going to stray from that.
Right.
I think that's smart.
I think that that the teachers that I've been working with, I can really see them using some of these techniques to create that nice little intro video so that every video starts, I don't know how long it is, 10 seconds or something, that is that really nice sort of professional, consistent image that's put out there, and maybe spend more time on, you know, using some of those effects on that intro video. There's also another question about if you have a video clip and you use part of it to slow down, or if you change the speed in some way, how do you sync the sound up? Like if everything's just, how do you sync that?
Yes. That's a great point. So if you're actually importing your sound with your video, which is something I do not do because I have my audio as a separate file and then I have my videos as a separate file when I do yoga videos. If you're importing them together, you can detach the audio. So all you have to do is go into that clip, right click, and it's going to be an option, detach audio. That way your audio will remain unaffected. It's going to be in that green bar beneath your video, and you're going to be able to adjust just the video speed and then keep the audio in its integrity. This is a great way. You're going to be able to also, well, I guess the order, I want to go back on that. The order, I would say first split the clip together, then split the audio. That way you have your bracketed separate clip that you want to change the speed on. Click detach audio, it's going to come beneath, and then you can change however fast or slow you want on the video portion.
Okay, good.
Good question.
Okay, yeah, that was a very good question. Anything else anyone wants to know from Kaitlin, or Jenny, do you have another one?
I have a lot. I could go on forever.
So we're
going to need a part 2 to this training. You know, it'd be really fun to maybe even, I don't know, we can talk more about it, Kaitlin, but it'd be really fun even to get one of our customers in a hot seat with you and actually have you two work together on or something in real time. Because I think sometimes
that'd be great.
Someone struggle and ask their real questions would be super helpful. Just you know, for maybe a follow-up training we could do, because I think this, I mean, like you said, the same thing with me. The first time I tried to play with iMovie, it was like days of stress and tears, and like I tried it after playing with Adobe Premiere, and so it was easier, but not easy, right? So the fact that you've made a simple like interface and tutorials for yoga teachers is just so needed and so welcome. So
great.
I think we need to schedule a part 2.
Yeah, we already have people saying pick me, pick me, pick me. So yes, that's a good.
Great.
That's validated. Okay, so why don't we? So we have a few more things to show you from Kaitlin. She does have a course that you might be interested in. So I'm going to try to switch screens.
Yes, I can switch you.
And Lord help us that this will go as planned.
I'm going to change it
have
to
a moment where we are amazed that this is even possible, that we are all in different parts of the planet, and that we can
Yeah,
share
it's so true.
with all kinds of other people.
Okay, so can anyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. So
So hit play.
let's
Hit play
just
on your.
get this bigger.
Perfect.
So I'm going to ask Jenny. NamaStream, of course, we have the software that people are able to invest in and join. But we also have a new offering, and I'm just going to invite Jenny to maybe walk us through that, explain it in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, sure. So we have a few things to offer to everyone today who, if you were excited about today's training or the other trainings we've put on, we have software, and namastream.com, basically that's what you can buy there. And it's a virtual studio software, like I mentioned at the beginning of the training. And we also now have strategy sessions because we've worked so closely with a number of our NamaStream teachers on sort of building out their business model prior to launch or towards the beginning of launch. So pricing, content, audience, targeting, social media, everything you would need to know sort of for your own business model to launch your virtual studio. We've been doing it informally, and we've just decided to be fair to everyone, to launch it formally. There's a process, there's a certain number of slots per month, and if you're interested in that, you can go to namastream.com/strategy, and you can learn more about that offering. And it would be working with Sandy and myself, and we're only taking a couple of people per month. So if that's something that's interesting to you, we know that it's one thing to have the equipment and to have some videos, and then what? And how do you actually build a business around it? And so we've worked now with so many teachers and studios on this that we want to be able to sort of help you launch quickly and launch farther than you would be able to do on your own.
And you don't have to be a NamaStream client. You can be thinking about it, or you could be a NamaStream client. Either way. So if you're thinking about doing online,
or if you're an existing client, email us and we'll give you a discount on the strategy sessions. If you're a new person and you're just wanting to sort of get everything together before taking your business online, then you would just sign up for the regular strategy sessions, and we would work with you to get you ready.
And I would just say, to add on, I think that this is so important. There are so many things besides just having well-edited content or a pretty page, or there's a lot to go into actually being able to build your business. And having engaging and quality content is one aspect of the other many things that are wonderful to define. So I think this is a great way to also take that bigger step back and say, okay, what am I really trying to accomplish? So this looks really great.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. The teachers we've worked with individually have certainly seen greater and faster success, and we want to be able to, sort of offer that at a reasonable price for folks. So it's fun. It's fun work for us too.
Yes, it is certainly fun. Okay, let's go to the next screen. So Kaitlin actually has created courses to train yogis to create these beautiful videos, and so I'll maybe let her explain which each of the two courses are, and then about the special for today's webinar guests.
Yeah, so what you guys saw was a peek into what we cover in the courses. I know that a lot of yoga instructors that are already doing content online might feel like, okay, I have a pretty good grasp at getting this stuff down. I'm looking on how to make it better, on how to really upgrade my content, how to do it quicker. That's the mini course. If you're already familiar with iMovie, if you've been editing for a while, but you're just kind of getting bored of it, or you're really not doing a lot of editing functions, you're just going in and dropping some stuff, this is a great way to start just putting some better, some just, I guess, icing on the cake of items. And there's a couple bonus sections in there as well. The mega course has 3 bonus sections around everything from advanced filming techniques to getting a video style guide down. It's more about really visually branding, and we're going to go from all the way basic to the end, which is more advanced. So you're going to get the whole cupcake, I guess, the full Monty with this one. If you're totally new, then this would be a great option. I would say both of these courses are really aimed towards building a yoga business. If you're a yoga enthusiast and don't necessarily have a really big business you want to build, this is still useful, but this is more around being able to actually give back. And I like to say it's for yogis because also this is for a fitness professional, but really for someone that is just teaching yoga online and they want to make that feeling of being in a class translate. So all the things we're going to focus on are specifically for that. Honestly, you can find tons of free tutorials on iMovie online, and definitely not going to deny that, but this is really specially organized to get the most value for yoga instructors who are teaching yoga. And that's where I think that it's going to be most impactful to you guys. So I do have a special, we have a discount on the full Monty. It's going to be $169, and for the abridged version, $149 if you use the coupon code NAMASTREAM at checkout at yogasoule.com/iMovie. There's also free content there that you can check out. I have other kind of peeks into it. There's an email iMovie mini course you can also sign up for if you're wanting just to get a bigger perspective before you invest. And then also, if you do sign up with the NamaStream code, I'm going to give 30-minute complimentary tech support sessions with everyone who signs up. So if you're getting stuck in a certain place that the course isn't answering, or if you have just needing a bigger perspective and some coaching, you get 30 minutes to use with me within 3 months of completion. And so we can get more one-on-one time. And that's going to be something, because I really love what NamaStream is doing. And I think you guys teaching on NamaStream are already getting so much value. I'd be really happy to sit down and go over a little bit more in detail with your specific case. So that's what you can get.
That's great.
Can I add something? I'm going to surprise Sandy here because I didn't tell her I was going to do it.
Oh, no.
Cool. So I would also just like to, I'm so impressed with your work, Kaitlin, and I feel like it's such a good fit for our community. I would like for anyone who is either a current monthly customer who's interested in upgrading to an annual plan, we will purchase the mega course for you. We'll buy it from Kaitlin and give it to you as a bonus. And also any new NamaStream customers who are purchasing an annual plan, we will give you the mega course as well. So we'll work that out with Kaitlin separately. You can also just send me an email, jennifer@namastream.com, and we'll get you set up for both today. So if you feel finally after joining us from multiple trainings or webinars, you've been getting our newsletter, you've started, following our social media accounts online. If you feel like this is something that you've been just waiting for the right time for, that's something that we're just going to honor today. But I just feel so inspired by what you've put together, Kaitlin. And I just have to tell you, 2 years ago, I went to a Yoga Journal conference in New York. And we try to go to the business of yoga, the one-day business sessions at the Yoga Journal conferences, and it was my first Yoga Journal conference. And there's always like a videography sort of person there. There usually is. And like everyone's always fine, but until very recently, anyone who was wanting to learn how to film themselves or learn how to be filmed teaching yoga, they were advised, like, you need a makeup artist, you need 4 cameras and camera angles, like you need to have a team of people from Hollywood. Like, it was just this absurd level of like sort of Hollywood celebrity around filming yoga. And I just think we are trying to build something so different than that. And Kaitlin, you're filling this like really, really important need. You don't need all of those things. Like,
no,
your own makeup, if you want to wear makeup when you teach yoga, like, you don't need to do that, right? And then the other thing is you can use iMovie, which is free, and you can have beautiful professional quality video. So don't let anyone tell you that you need to hire like multiple thousands of dollars worth of people and equipment to do this. So
no,
anyway.
Absolutely not. That's a great point. I think that's a huge bridge to entry too. People feel like, well, if I can't if I can't make it absolutely amazing, I'm going to do nothing. And actually, you can make absolutely amazing videos with everything that you probably already have even. So that also is, I think, really encouraging and empowering for everyone to just recognize that. That's definitely not true. And no.
Oh, that's great. I think that's a great idea. A great idea, Jenny. Yeah, that's why I was so excited when Kaitlin just emailed, because I'm like, oh my God, we need her. We need her in the work that she's doing. So that's great. Okay. So with that, let's close it out. We went over our hour. So thank you for everyone sticking through this, and great offers on the table if you guys are interested. So yogasoule.com, yogasoule.com/iMovie, or head over to namastream.com if you're interested in joining us in our little community. So Kaitlin, thank you for your work and joining us and doing such a great job of teaching and explaining it to us. And Jenny, of course, thank you to you as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Grazie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.